Smadar Nehab, such a pleasure to have you with us. One of the first women to really succeed in a large way in the Israeli startup sector. I think that's fantastic. Please don't be offended if I say, this is kind of like speaking to the Golda Meir of Israeli startups, right? You held a few significant positions in big technology companies. And then what's interesting to me is at some point in your career, you moved over into social entrepreneurship and started Tsofen, which is a well-known organization trying to integrate more people from the Arab sector into the Israeli startup scene. This is very important to many of our viewers. We really care about peaceful coexistence, business as a platform for peaceful coexistence. Then you started Siraj, which is doing a similar thing with Bedouin communities. I think we have so much to talk about, and this is very exciting. I do want to mention the article that you wrote recently for the Stanford Social Innovation Review, the SSIR, about your model for social integration, because I want to say off the bat that we probably won't be able to dive into everything that you mentioned in your article, but people, our viewers can go and find that, Smadar Nehab, SSIR, to find that. So, but before we talk exactly about your model and what you've seen that works and doesn't work as far as this kind of integration, what motivated you to tackle this issue? Why do you care about integrating Arabs, Bedouins, Palestinians into the startup scene in Israel?
Okay, thank you for starting with that, because it's very important for me. I was born in Israel. My parents came from Germany, and I grew up on very humanistic approach where all people are equal. My parents moved to Israel when they were 22 in 1933. And that was the...
So they got out in time, basically.
Very much, with a kind of a Tnuat Noar, with
the youth movement.
Youth movement. Anyway, it was very dominant in my upbringing, the issue of equality of people, women, but mostly because I actually was born in a kibbutz in Emek, Israel, and was surrounded originally by Arab people. I mean, it was Bedouins, I think. It was much before I was born. But anyway, it was very nochach, was very present. Yeah. The issue of the Arabs and the Jews here in this country, on this piece of land. And I was always, I cared a lot. I thought always that we cannot, these two peoples will live here. Right. And the better is to live in peace and live in partnership. So that's ideologically. And it wasn't ideology, it was more a philosophy that carried me through my life. But then I joined the high-tech early in the high-tech life, not early in my life. Anyway, I graduated I did a master's degree in Weizmann, and then started with startup in '82. People didn't know what startup is, right. Doing technology, etc. And I didn't have time for the issue of Jews and Arabs. I worked for, I was a slave of the high-tech. But then in 2007, after maybe 5 startups and 2 large companies that I started a division there. So I was always starting organizations, but I came up with the feeling that I did enough for home, and that I want to do something for society. Yes. But the one thing that was, I think, put me in a very unique position was that not only I cared a lot about shared life here, allowing the two peoples to live together, but also I was very professional on the high-tech, and I lived the absence or the need for talent. I was leading, I wrote it in the article too, I think. I was leading a startup with 20 people, and my board asked me if if we can recruit in India. And immediately came to my mind, what about the kids of my friends in the Galilee who don't find jobs?
Right.
So, but that was, people told me nobody will do such an effort. But I understood that the need for talent, which is even bigger today, is an amazing driving force. And I basically started with this notion. I said, the Arabs are not included, the high-tech need talent, let's combine the two. And that's how it started.
Have you seen much success over? I mean, when was this? 2006 or when 2008 when you started Tsofen. How has that been? How's the experience been?
First, I must say, in the beginning, so that you will be curious, it was a major success. When we started Tsofen, there were only 350 Arab engineers in the industry.
Wow.
350. Today there are 10,000.
Wow.
Now people are talking about it's still not even 2%. Yes, but it's a major growth.
That's
and
massive.
also the direction is great. For example, we see growth in students in the Technion, in STEM, in science, technology, engineering, and management, which are the subject for what you have to learn to do high tech. Right. There were less than 7% Arabs from all the students. Now they are 22%, more than their percentage in the population. And of course, the main reason is that there is a horizon there. There is an occupational horizon. They have something to aspire for, so they go to study it.
It's amazing.
Yeah.
And if you've seen,
so it was a success.
So you talked about the demand for human resources, which is almost exponential today in the startup field in Israel, especially for programmers and people in IT and technologies. So that I understand that you would be talking mostly about companies that are founded by Israelis that are looking for human resources, and then they turn to integrate Arab employees along with their Jewish employees. How many of the engineers from the Arab sector, or what percentage have you seen that have gone and started their own companies? So they're not just human resources for an Israeli company, but they have a brilliant idea, students from the Technion, and now they're entrepreneurs themselves.
So when I started, our mission was thousands of Arabs in the high tech. That's what we said, thousands.
In any position, get thousands of them.
And not any position, not as cleaners, etc. Right. You look at companies like Intel, and there were Arabs. Actually, Intel had also, all the engineers were at Intel, not in Israeli companies. But there are many cleaners and all kind of service providers, not about them we are talking. So, yes. I was asked why am I not, as a startup person, woman, why am I not suggesting opening startups, Arab startups?
Yes.
This is an excellent question for me because it would not have been possible then. In order to start a startup, you have to know the material. Now, there weren't enough people, also in Israel, one of X people is an entrepreneur. Right. So in the Arab community, when there were 350 or maybe 500, what's the chance that somebody will be an entrepreneur? So my answer was, we need more Arab engineers in order to have Arab entrepreneurs.
So you have a large pool, and then some small percentage will actually be, right?
Like in the Jewish community.
Right.
Not everybody is an entrepreneur. Yeah. But the nice thing is that today there are Arab entrepreneurs, and it's and some one startup that is really successful, very interesting one, not very technological, and some startups that are in the second or third round of fundraising, no exit yet, but I told you that there were about 350 Arab engineers.
Yes.
One of them is Johnny Srouji. Johnny Srouji is Executive VP Hardware at Apple. He is the second to Tim Cook. He is an Arab, born in Haifa, studied in the Technion, started to work at IBM Research, and moved outside of Israel. And there he could flourish. Wow. So I'm saying that this issue that it's so rare and was so hard for those who, he is of course a genius and it was known before he joined Apple. But people like him could not develop then a career here.
Yeah.
Today we have somebody who was also an engineer then, Dr. Ziad Khanna. He is now the CEO or general manager of the branch of Cadence in Israel. Cadence is an American company, global, leading the electronic design automation. These are tools for hardware engineers to develop. So they are the leader. And the general manager of their site in Israel is Ziad Khanna.
Amazing.
Yes, there is he doesn't have any, there is nobody else like him, but it's starting to happen. But these things are independent of what we did, because these geniuses were there and found their way, but still did not develop as they could have if they were in the States.
And your efforts have been to replicate that, and so there are more people that have that opportunity.
Exactly, and also make it more common in the Israeli industry to see Arabs in these positions. Eventually, like Ziad Khanna, who is amazing, and everybody admires him. But also for more regular people, less, not every general manager of a site in Israel is a genius. So
many of our viewers might not understand all the complexities. When we say Arabs, of course, they're the Israeli Arabs.
Yes.
Many of them in the north, which are relatively well educated, etc. Then you have the Druze, which do speak Arabic, right, as their language. I don't know if they would refer themselves as Arabs, maybe. Yeah. Right. Then you have the Bedouins in the south, and I want to hear why your new effort with Siraj is more focused on the Bedouins. Then you have the Palestinian Arabs, which are those who live in the land that don't have Israeli citizenship, and you have all these different categories. It sounds like your first efforts, which have borne great fruit, going from 350 technology engineers to 10,000, that's amazing. That's probably primarily with Israeli non-Bedouin Arabs. Is that right? And now you're moving more into the Bedouin sector?
Yes, and the reason is that we chose to start in the north. When we started everything, one of the most important points of my model is to bring the industry into this. So we decided on Nazareth, because the main reason to start industry in Nazareth, the main reason was that 60% of the Israeli Arabs or Arab citizens of Israel are located in the north.
Right, in the Galilee region.
In the Galilee, and also those who live in Wadi Ara, in the east of Israel, the Green Line, are also very close to Nazareth. So that was, but the reason why we chose the north is because of the level of education, as you mentioned. Yes. The Arabs in the north, and not only the Christians, were much more I don't want to say educated, had higher degrees, had good background. By
the way, you mentioned Christians. A lot of our viewers are Christian, and they might be interested to learn that per capita, the group in Israel, the sector in Israel that has per capita the highest percentage of higher education degrees are Christian Arabs. A lot of people don't know that, but one of the reasons is because they have relatively small numbers. So if they have, and then they have a large percentage of them.
But all
really
the excellent high schools in the north,
yes.
the leading high schools are Christians.
Right.
And what's for me is beautiful, they are accepting also Muslim students.
Right.
Yes, and one of many of the leading Muslim high-techists studied in these or in Jewish schools. So the short answer to your question was that it was the North, the Galilee, was the best chance of success. And as a startup, we still know that what you want to do first is to choose the best case study, the best use case, succeed there, and then make it harder.
Right.
So that's what we did.
The lowest hanging fruit, we say. Yeah.
True. So that's why we started in the north. Now, the reason for the Bedouin, first I must say that the initiative in the Bedouin community didn't come from me. I was asked to join by Bedouin entrepreneurs and professors and a very important high-tech figure in Israel, Dr. Giora Yaron. I want, if you would like to search on him, but anyway, he was one of the high-tech fathers. Yeah. I was kind of, when I started, he was already, how do you say, he was the CEO of National Semiconductor, one of the companies that existed there. So role models also for me, and he decided that when he was in the army, which was a long time ago, he had Bedouins with him. That's how he described it. And now I'm in Caesarea, and they're in their huts. So this is unjust. And he decided that he wants to help it. And he heard that I did it in the north and asked me to join. And I was very pleased to join. I knew very little about the south. And the reason, the heart of your question is why is it needed? Why isn't it sufficient to do in the north? And the challenge is much bigger. Education level, even high school education level, poverty level, education of the parents. In the Galilee, most, I don't know percentages of, but I know that many of the parents are already have some kind of education beyond high school, not necessarily. And that's not in the Bedouin community. People I work with, first generation of education, if you like, the parents, or especially the mothers, are analphabetic. They don't know to read or write. So that's the main.
And have you seen? I understand it's much more difficult to work with the Bedouin. Have you seen some progress there with integration?
What we did there, which is again the model, we decided, and that was with Giora Yaron, and by the way, our other partners are Professor Jihad Hassana and Professor Sarah Abu Kaf, who are both Bedouins from very poor families and are leading in Ben Gurion. Professor Jihad Hassana was the head of the computer science department in Ben Gurion, which is a very good university. So amazing. So amazing people work together. What we do there is the same that we did in the north, that I did in the north. We started a company. The company is called Siraj Technologies. Okay. And the idea was we want to prove that it's possible to build a company whose engineers are Bedouins. Mm-hmm. And the number one requirement was, let's do it close to the Bedouin community, just like we did in the north. Right. And it was very difficult. I was managing the group at the beginning. I had 4 engineers. I interviewed like 100 people. Yeah. But today, Siraj Technologies has 22 engineers. The
Amazing.
CEO is a very talented Bedouin.
All of them are Bedouins.
All of them. One of them is Jewish. And
That's amazing. Good for you. Congratulations.
it's really good. But the more importantly, the impact on high school and universities. Now it's, to increase the number of university students. It doesn't happen from day one to day two. Siraj is 5 years old, so it's still not a long time to kind of develop trends, but we see a noticeable change in the number of Bedouins who are going to STEM instead of other things.
Right, amazing, beautiful. I have to say, we don't talk a lot about politics here, and we talk about business. But you have this leader, Arab-Israeli leader right now, Mansour Abbas, who was the first minister in the history of Israel, who his main voting population, at least in the last election, were Bedouins, I understand. To me, it's a very exciting development. I wrote a book about the civil rights movement and the relationship between the Jewish community and the African American community and what we can learn from that. And as part of that, I really learned about the life of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. and Malcolm X. And I see a clear correlation between Mansour Abbas on one hand, which to me, he's Martin Luther King-esque in the sense that let's work within the system. We like the system. It's a good system. We can gain rights for our community instead of attacking the system. I recognize Israel as a democratic and Jewish state. When the violence broke out during the beginning of Corona, and one of the synagogues was attacked down in Lod, he went there and said this is unacceptable, and he took a very strong stand to be part of Israel, to lessen the flames of contention between, and it seems like more and more Arab voters are voting for him, which is encouraging to me because it's the desire from that side for more integration. I see the United list as more like the Malcolm X, who's kind of always attacking the system. Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., at the end of the day, he was the one who succeeded with the civil rights movement in the United States. And I'd love to see Mansour Abbas succeed in what he's going for. When I look at the political leadership in Israel and say, what kind of leader is out there today that really inspires me? I'd say he's pretty close to number one as far as, just the courage that it takes to come from his background and to be a consistent voice for peace and coexistence. It's really encouraging to me. And I think it's connected to what you're doing now with the Bedouins in the South and getting them more and more integrated into, the prosperity of Israel, the possibility to work in these jobs, and especially in high tech. Yeah, absolutely fantastic. I don't know if you want to respond to any of that, but yeah.
We expect from them, from the Arabs, and especially now the Bedouins, so much acceptance, so much tolerance, and we are treating them so badly. If you come to Negev, and just last week I did a delegation from the Machon LaDemocratia who wanted to learn more about them. And they were shocked. So anyway, I don't need this. Everybody, also people who are really familiar with the situation, cannot believe what it is to live as a Bedouin. They are just like hefker, how do you say? Sometimes I feel that they here have similar treatment to the people, the Bedouins in the Bik'ah. So much.
Hefker would be neglect,
completely neglected, but also punished. I won't say who, but a woman friend, Bedouin, who is also in the university teaching, and she speaks about it, but I don't want to speak for her. She's amazing, everybody looks up to her. But when she goes back home, she's in a village that has been recognized 10 years ago. Since then, there is still no electricity, no biyuv, no water, running water. Yeah. So she does the solar energy, etc. But the most touching story for me was that, with this mehumot or whatever, or it maybe was around the request of Keren Kayemet to plant some near her village. It was next to her door, and she said, all my kids are in the university. And they're smart, and they are like everybody else. When they come home, they are young Bedouins, and they're suspects. And that's the situation they live in. Yeah. They look like that. Who will differentiate? So, and the material situation is very difficult. Again, I think a lot needs to be done there. What I feel is that in terms of education, not in terms of politics, but in terms of education, when you show the hardest, the poorest, or not poorest, but community that they have a chance to get into high tech, that does a lot. Everybody tells me you have to do education, high schools, etc. I see many amotot, many NGOs who are doing a lot in education and didn't do anything to increase employment. Right. So our thesis is let's create jobs and role models, and this does miracles.
So start a company.
Start a company.
Yeah, right.
And give an example. And today, the high school students, Bedouin high school students, are coming to Siraj. We organize kind of meetings and presentation of what does it mean to be in high tech and what is high tech. And they come in masses and they just fall in love because they didn't know it exists. And
well, you're providing hope.
Yes. Yeah. And direction. And the reason, and I have another example that shows how this is impactful. While in 2021, there were only 50 Bedouins in the high tech, 25 in Siraj, the rest in the rest of the world. Doctors, and there were 600 Bedouin doctors.
Medical doctors.
Medical doctors, and about another 600 that were in the process of studying. Right. Mostly outside of Israel, but studying medicine or to be doctors. And I said, if they can be doctors, they surely can be in high tech. I don't know if, So why are they going to be doctors? Because there is a career path, there is a hope, and also the mothers appreciate it. So now we're working on the mother to appreciate high tech.
Yeah, very, very interesting. Have you, first of all, again, congratulations for your work with both the Arab-Israeli community and the Bedouin community. And I can speak on behalf of myself and our community worldwide that we wish you success. And if there's any way we can help, if there's any way to connect international business people, maybe to Siraj and what you're doing, I'd encourage people to actually go to the website of Siraj, the nonprofit and the for-profit, look at what they're doing, consider supporting them. This is an extremely important thing, and especially,
I would love that.
Especially for those of us who believe.
No, I would love that. And actually, Siraj Technology is looking for investment.
For investment, okay.
Both investment and philanthropic. Clients, but of course.
What's the main product that Siraj is?
But clients will be local, need to be local. We develop technologies around IoT, actually industrial Internet of Things. Okay. Yeah. And we developed a technology that actually facilitates fast uploading of or connecting traditional devices to the internet platform, Internet of Things, IoT platform. So it's we have some kind of artificial intelligence. I don't like to use all this. Everybody is using this machine learning, etc. But we are using technologies like that to easily record sensor data that exists, automate the translation into what's expected in the...
Right. So many of our viewers are Christians. They believe in the Genesis story and that, all of us are created as equal if we're created in the image of God. So if everybody's created in the image of God, in order to help the Arabs, you shouldn't be against Israelis. In order to help the Israelis, you shouldn't be against Arabs. We should always be looking to help both parties on both sides of the conflict. How can we prosper? How can we make life easier and better, and so on and so forth? So that's number one. Number two, most of the community would believe in Jesus, who said that, he came for the least of these. So who are the least of these in any society that we can reach out to and try to lift them up from where they are, whether it's poverty or other issues? I think we could safely argue that the Bedouins would be in that category, as the least of these within the Israelis. So if you're a Christian who wants to love and support Israel, connecting to and bringing more education to the Bedouin community, I think it's...
If you have an impact on that, we love to host visitors, especially those who... Because many people are coming to see us. We are, strange, how do you say, creature here. Right. But those who are interested in investing or in working with us as clients. Mm-hmm. The problem with clients, as you may understand from my description, it's very local. I mean, we're doing ashkaya, irrigation automation, transport companies.
Yeah, very interesting. Now, I just want to pinpoint something you said, because you're the second person I've interviewed now about these issues. I interviewed another gentleman, Avram Miller, who's also like kind of like a forefather. He was talking about what can we do to help spill over some of the high-tech success into the Palestinian Authority, and he's personally given scholarships and so on and so forth. But he said, we need to convince the mothers. And that's exactly what you just said. We need to convince the mothers. Why is that so important to get the mothers convinced and that this is a good direction for
it's like we said that every Jewish mother wants her son to be a doctor, right?
Right.
So now it's true for the Bedouins. But it's more essential than this. I want to answer it by, there is the short answer, which I think is everywhere. I mean, the opinion, the public opinion, the appreciation is very important for us. And now, the families, and also when you're talking about very poor families, like in the Bedouin community, the whole Hamula is gathering money so that one son or daughter, also women, is sent to study medicine So it's not only mechubad, respectable, it's also an economical issue.
Right.
You know that if you have a doctor in the Hamula, then you're a little bit more better. So that's very important. And there was no knowledge of, sorry, the long answer, that was the short answer, that every mother wants her son to be appreciated and bring money.
And at least within the Middle East, mothers are very influential within the home.
Yeah.
Right?
So actually, it's nicer said. The truth is that the fathers are also very, very influential. I want to tell you a story. We had in Tsofen an amazing student. She is from Al-Fahim. So she was an excellent student of Tsofen, and we convinced Google, though this girl didn't have the prerequisite that she's amazing, and they took her and loved her. So she is for several years already working at Google. When she comes home to Al-Fahim, her mother says, "What will be the end with you? You have, one of the sisters is a teacher. The other one works in pharmacy. Yeah. And what about you?" So she said, "Kilo, Yano, you work at Google. What is it?"
Right.
The amount of money that she's getting, the career that she is doing, none of this is understood.
Right.
I tried to work with her on expanding our outreach to women, two girls, that will choose more to go to work. And she said, you have to start with the fathers. So actually fathers, they won't let them go far from the, and this is changing because they start to see all this actually in the triangle, in the Al-Fahim, area, Kfar Kara, the amount of engineers is increasing. It's becoming high-tech valley, really. And not Nazareth, actually.
Very interesting.
Very interesting. It's starting to change, but what her message was, the fathers have to believe that it's okay to send the girls to work, not only to study. Yeah. On Friday, I attended a conference in Arara, and there is an NGO, Hasub, grassroots NGO that encourages young Arabs to go to the high tech, kind of in parallel. Now there are many organizations. Hasub is very important one. I came to give them, kavod and join their conference. There were 1,200 people.
Wow.
1,200 people, mostly Arabs. There was also the CEO of Google and the ex-CEO of Microsoft and some other people like me, but amazing. So this has happened in the north, it's amazing.
Could there be a way, it's no secret that a huge amount of mine and your tax money goes to the defense budget. And a huge amount of that defense budget goes into R&D. And you have these cybersecurity companies that train some of our brightest minds for 3 years in software and technology development. And then those people go and become the next, they start the next Waze or WhatsApp or, so these, big exits and IPOs that we're all familiar with. Bedouins have been integrated into the IDF for years, but usually they're trackers or, they're in...
By the way, the numbers are much lower now.
Yeah, of Bedouin integration.
Bedouins,
Is there a way, do you think, to advance integration of Bedouins in their IDF service in some of the technology units so that they can gain, that type of equipping, which is just an amazing springboard into the future of high-tech startups and stuff? Is that even a conversation that anyone has had with the IDF, do you think, or something that could be?
I actually thought about it on some, no, I didn't have, but I want to tell you that the number of Bedouins joining the army is decreasing dramatically. But we did have another case with a partner of mine at Tsofen that we started to bring up. Say, let's build a parallel organization to the IDF organization. If you think about it, the IDF actually gives 3 years of the best education ever for free. Right. It's not like here. So why won't we do something like that for those who don't serve in IDF? And by the way, it's not only Arabs, also women, also religious people. So, but that will be very hard to do. I thought you will ask, doesn't it not limit their chances to succeed, yes, the Arabs, because they don't come? That was a question that I was asked at the beginning. Said, so much of the high-tech, Israeli high-tech is military or right, helping military. They won't have a place to work. Right. And that's not true. I don't know what the percentage is, but most of the company, I am sure that over 80% of the people working in the high-tech don't work for
military technology.
Yeah, one of the contribution of the international companies is that they bring very, Ezrahi.
Civil applications.
Civil applications. Yeah. And they are, by the way, the first employers of Arabs.
Yeah, the big international, so Intel, Microsoft, HP, etc. Yeah.
Exactly, and smaller ones, yeah.
Yeah, interesting. I have to ask, so you've had this successful experience in the north with the Israeli Arab community. You're starting to see progress with the Bedouin community. As somebody who I live in the Jerusalem area, it's very difficult for me to go from West Jerusalem to East Jerusalem and see, and the Palestinian Authority to Ramallah to see the level of poverty and distress and inequality. It's not all Israel's fault. The Palestinian Authority is very difficult to deal with, obviously very complex political issues that you and I aren't going to solve in this conversation. Do you think there is a way, though, to bring some of the high-tech success and to spill over into the Palestinian sector, the Palestinian Authority? What would be your thinking on that as somebody with great experience on the Israeli side?
I'm definitely thinking about it.
Yeah.
I chose not to deal with it because, no, never mind. I'm thinking I was even involved in there are some initiatives, and the concept or the idea is similar. There is a lot of need here, global companies, and by employing people in the West Bank, they can really, by the way, Gaza is the city of startups in the Palestinian
That's interesting. I wasn't aware of that.
Amazing.
Technology startups.
Yes, only technology, because we can't build large, but the level of, and I heard it actually from people who served in the IDF and never mind, knew a lot about Gaza and was like amazed by the level of creativity. But anyway, in the West Bank, which is much more
so maybe
much more feasible, and I want to say that there are many organizations that are acting on this. I was only involved in one.
The question is if there are organizations that are implementing your model,
yes,
which is to create a technology company and say we're looking for jobs, and then. Yeah.
So I'll tell you who, and I thought that will be those who will do it. Apple just announced that they have 60 engineers in Rawabi, which is one of, Rawabi?
Yeah,
it's a high-tech city, that were involved in developing their new generation something. And by the way, Apple, as you remember, I mentioned Johnny Struzzi earlier. He was vice president, the very senior guy, so it was his own business, baby.
His initiative.
Yeah, but he knows our model, and not that he, but. And now I know, and I can't mention the name, another international company. And the idea is not that it's a service chapter of the Israeli company, it's its own subsidiary of Apple or the other company. And that will do great.
So you've heard this amazing story with Smadar. If you want to get in touch with Smadar, please contact us. We will give you her contact details. We'll be happy to make the connection. This is an extremely important work. I can't encourage you enough, for those of you that this conversation has touched something, a heartstring, and you said, wow, this is such an inspiring story. How can I get behind the least of these in the Israeli society to help bring them up and participate in the miracle of the Israeli startup scene and technology scene? What a beautiful story. Thank you so much for being with us today. And really, I hope a lot of leads and positive connections will come out of this.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for the opportunity.
There are many small businesses in Israel that are creating amazing products that never make it to the shelves of the stores where you shop. Unfortunately, there's an insidious campaign growing around the world calling to boycott Israel. And these small business owners see their potential market shrinking from day to day. What can we do about this? So Arise exists to make meaningful connections between friends like you in the international community and the economy of Israel. When you sign up to become a member of the Arise Alliance, we will send you on a quarterly basis a gift box filled with cosmetic products, culinary products, fashion products, amazing stuff made in Israel. Your family's gonna love this. Your favorite time every quarter is gonna be to stand around and discover what did you receive this quarter from Israel. And it's just a great way to weave Israeli products and the reality of Israel into your everyday life. Make sure you become a member today and help support small businesses and create jobs in Israel. Thank you.